All right, it is now 2 o'clock. We are going to go ahead and get started. 2 p.m. here Mountain Standard Time where I am, 4 p.m. on the East. I'm Kate Valentine. Hi, Gabe. How are you? We can't hear you. Make sure your mic is on.
There we go. One better.
Yes, that's better. So those of you listening, you may or may not be familiar with my voice. I'm Kate Valentine, host of the Keyword Podcast, and we are going to be doing a webinar today with Jaguar AI, talking about how artificial intelligence can help you run your Amazon business. Just as a note for you guys, Gabe, I do have your presentation loading. It's just taking a little bit longer. So there is a screen share option if you see up at the top. If you want to share it, you can start doing it that way. I'm pretty much going to just mute myself. I'm going to turn the camera off. If anyone has any questions, are we planning on doing a Q&A at the end?
Yeah, that'd be
Okay. So if you have questions, just like every webinar we do, throw them in the chat and I'll make sure to save those and we'll get to those in our Q&A. And if there's anything that pops up in the meantime as a problem, or if I have a question that needs to be addressed right away, I'll go ahead and pop in, but otherwise you guys won't see me till the end. So without further ado, thank you guys. Welcome Jaguar AI, and I'll let you guys take it away.
perfect. Thanks, Kate. Let me pull up this quick little screen share. But while we're doing that, just want to introduce ourselves. Like Kate said, my name is Gabe Ray, one of the product initiators here with Jaguar AI, and then I've got to my right Thane Brimhall, who's kind of the brains behind everything, which is why I brought him so that he can help all of you guys better understand kind of everything that goes in behind the scenes to something like Jaguar AI. It was a system that we built because we saw a need for being able to analyze product data and figure out exactly how to source products, or even understand which products to source just faster than we could manually do it. And there's tools out there, but we just wanted to take what we thought were all the important things, kind of get rid of all the extra fluff and the things that we didn't need, and just get down to finding the best products to source and sell as fast as we could. So I'll give Thane just kind of a quick little chance to introduce himself as well while I get this presentation pulled up for you guys.
Yeah, I'm Thane Brimhall. I basically designed the system, Jaguar AI. I've been a programmer for 15 years, and I've worked a lot with artificial intelligence and lots and lots of big data. So it was a really cool application to work on, Jaguar AI, so that we could, teach the system how to look at Amazon products like a human would.
Perfect. Well, let's go through just quickly kind of the steps, like I said, behind what influenced us and what kind of led us to wanting to create and some of our experiences with other softwares and things that are out there. And then we'll jump into exactly how to use Jaguar AI. For those of you who either already have a subscription or you're debating whether or not to use it, this will be something that should hopefully help you guys through that process. So the biggest question that we obviously get all the time, both as we were kind of developing our own Amazon stores and in some of the consulting and other things we've done, is the magic question, right? What product or products should I sell? People are always curious, what's the next fidget spinner or the next whatever. They want to be the person to, start that trend or be out in front of these trends that are happening. We, like I said, get that question all the time, and we're always trying to figure out, well, yeah, what is it? What could we go out and tell these people go buy that, or what could we ourselves buy and sell on the channel? And it kind of led us to trying to figure out what exactly, what tools are out there, what softwares are available to help us answer this question. And then as we use some of those tools, we started to realize there's a lot more that goes into what should I sell other than just trying to find a product. And so it led us to some of these additional questions. Obviously, Amazon is a massive marketplace, right? Every year they grow by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of products. additional and new products that are coming onto the channel. And so currently there's over 500 million products that are available on Amazon. And so when you think about that, just the vast amount of product and product knowledge that you have to have, or even just the amount of junk that's out there, you don't want to just create anything and throw it up on Amazon. You want there to be, some information and some data behind what you're trying to send out there, because just throwing anything at Amazon, it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks and then hoping that you get something good. The idea behind, all these softwares, and particularly with Jaguar AI, was let's let the system or the artificial intelligence do all the hard work, and then it'll kick back, that top 1% or whatever that's going to help us figure out exactly what should be successful. And so we started asking ourselves a bunch of different questions. And these are questions that, like I said, we used to manually kind of go through this process, and it could take anywhere from, a day or two to several months as we tried to determine what are products that we should buy, what products should we go out and use to sell. And so we started asking ourselves, can I source this product? Can I find a manufacturer, whether it be, in the United States, overseas, in China, India, wherever it may be? Is it something that I could even get my hands on? Is there somebody that will make it for me? How much can I make per product? So starting to look at things like, well, what is that person going to make? What's their cost going to be to manufacture? What's it going to cost for me to ship it over here? Looking at all those different costs of getting a good, manufactured or produced. What are the trends for the product? So we'd start looking at, is this product seasonal? Is it a holiday product? Is it, back to school? Whatever it may be, trying to figure out what are the trends? When do I need to be buying this product? When should I avoid certain products? And trying to understand, obviously, the ebbs and flows of the marketplace. And then how do I narrow down the opportunities? Like I said, there's 500 million products. There's, you go to China and there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of manufacturers, and there's people out there that are willing to make just about anything. How do I narrow down exactly what product I buy, where I buy it, how I buy it? How do I narrow down all these different opportunities? And so this is kind of just a graph that also illustrates all the different questions and things that we have to think about when we do product research. And I think this is pretty interesting because a lot of people just think, well, what can I buy it for and what can I sell it for? And the difference is going to be my profit. If it was that easy, I think everybody would be on Amazon. But unfortunately, there's a lot more that goes into product research. And so this is kind of a quick little glance at all the different things that, again, we were manually doing as we were researching products. So we're looking at things like competition, which includes market size. Are there big brands in that industry? Is it a bunch of private label people? What are the type of quality of those products? Are people expecting it to be something, really big and robust that's going to last forever? Or do they understand that, like most Amazon basic products, the life cycle of this product is 6 months to a year, and then the hope is that you just come back and buy a new one. Seasonality, the different categories, right? Is this a category that is going to require certain things to ungate it? Is it special category that's going to require like FDA approvals? All the different regulations that go behind that. And then again, things like reviews. How many reviews do I need to get to be competitive? What are the average star ratings of those reviews? All these different things, right? And then also things like intellectual property or IP. Is there a patent out on this type of product? Do I need to be careful with how I source this product because I may be violating something? I think that's one thing that a lot of people either don't think about or they rely too much on their manufacturers. And what they don't realize is that, especially overseas, those manufacturers will make just about anything you ask them to, and they don't really look into the laws or look into things like intellectual property as to whether or not they're violating a patent or a trademark or something like that. They kind of leave that up to you, and they say, we'll make it and send it to you, and that's, any legal issues that come up from that, it's going to be on you. I can't tell you how many people we've dealt with that have made those mistakes, and it's amazing how fast those manufacturers disappear or stop listening to, their phone calls or answering their emails or whatever it may be. And so you've got to think about all these different things. But again, like I said, we were doing a lot of this manually, and to pull all this data and gather it all together, sometimes it could be, like I said, fairly quick, like a day or two, and then other times could take weeks, if not months. And by the time we got some of the data, other stuff was already outdated and we had to almost start over. And so we started trying to figure out how can we automate a lot of this? What is available to us? Or if it's not available, what do we need to go create in order to do this faster? And that's where this question come up, is what's the benefit of artificial intelligence? And so, like I said in the beginning, Thane's the brains behind all this, and so I want to give him an opportunity to chat a little bit about what are the benefits of artificial intelligence, how can it help us, and really at a high level, what exactly is artificial intelligence, and how does it apply to me and you as sellers on Amazon?
Yeah, so artificial intelligence is very interesting because it allows a computer to look at a problem in a way similar to how a human looks at that problem. And that's really important for things like Amazon because I think an experienced Amazon seller would look at a page and they'd have a gut feeling saying, "Oh yeah, this is going to be something good to sell," or they'll say, "Oh, I don't feel comfortable about this." Maybe they don't know why, but they have enough experience saying this is what the pitfalls are, and these are the things that are good about each product. So what we can do with artificial intelligence is we can gather the data about a certain product, and we can say, if you were a human, how would you, or what would you recommend that we do to sell this product? And a human might say, don't even bother trying to sell that product, it's junk. Or they might say, well, this is a good thing to sell if you can get enough reviews to edge out the competition. Everything else about it is great, but the reviews are going to be what you can do. Or maybe they'll look at a category and say, hey, the first page of this category is really, it's got 2 or 3 really good things and then a bunch of junk. There's room for another competitor to come in and fill that space. And so Jaguar AI looks at all of these different scenarios, and it creates a bunch of recommendations for you so that you can decide how to sell a product.
Perfect. So in a nutshell, right, the benefit of artificial intelligence is, like Thane said, it's basically just the ability to look at everything and process a large amount of data really fast and provide us with information so that we can make better decisions as we, as sellers or even as consultants trying to help to improve our sell-through rates or pick a new product. We need to look at information, and it's there. Amazon has all kinds of reports. They provide us with all kinds of data, but trying to analyze all that and figure out a way to use it to our benefit is kind of why we created Jaguar AI. It allowed us to look at millions of products and millions of data points faster than we can do it, with our human eyes and our small little brains, and use and harness the power of artificial intelligence to be able to give us that information quicker and actually do it better than we could do it by ourselves. And so here you can kind of see, right, that there's, like I said, all the hundreds of thousands or millions of data points that this artificial intelligence is going to go look at, and it's going to throw it all into this funnel and then start filtering it down to where it will kick back opportunities, give us products that make sense, products that fit the criteria that we want and that make sense according to the algorithm with Amazon as well as Jaguar's proprietary algorithm to figure out what's the product that we want, what's the category we should be selling in. And so it's looking at, again, things like profitability, competition, the size of your market, your abilities to source products. All these different things go into making a smart decision. And the hope and the idea behind Jaguar AI is that it takes a lot of the guesswork out and just does a lot of it for you to say, based on the data, here's what we recommend. And then it's up to you, obviously, to take that product to market and do the best you can with it. But these 4 products are kind of interesting, and we want to just walk through. Maybe we'll just pick on one for now. But as we went through the process of developing Jaguar AI, and about a year ago, as we got it to the point where we started really running some tests, funny story is with these urinal deodorizers. For any of the female listeners out there who probably have no idea what those are, that are found in every commercial bathroom or any bathroom that's in public restrooms, I guess, male public restrooms, I should say. They basically put them in the bathroom to make it so it doesn't smell so bad. And as we kind of ran some tests through one of our first just kind of beta launches of Jaguar AI, one of the products that kicked out to us and kind of caught us all scratching our heads were these urinal deodorizers. And the reason why was, at the time, there was a lot of these cool and what we call like sexy products on Amazon that were making, hundreds of thousands of dollars and selling like crazy. And that's what we kind of expected Jaguar to kick out as, the next really cool, sexy product. So when urinal deodorizers kind of came out on top, we, like I said, we're scratching our heads and we started watching the product. We didn't order it. We didn't really run a test on it that way, but we just were like, well, let's just watch it and see. Let's make sure that, there's a proof of concept here. And over the next 4 to 6 months, we started to watch the trend on it, and we noticed that sales started to pick up, that the number of people jumping into Amazon selling urinal deodorizers or urinal mats really picked up. And all of a sudden there was people making a lot of money on a product, like I said, it's not necessarily sexy. It wasn't something cool. It wasn't something that people were necessarily super, brand conscientious about. It was just something that everybody needs. Anybody who owns any sort of brick and mortar store or, a place with a public restroom will use these. And instead of buying them through some janitorial service or something like that, they're obviously just ordering it through Amazon, setting it up as like a subscription model, and just getting these urinal mats every 30 days, ordered. And so as we watched that and we kind of saw that happen, we realized these are things that really make sense. These are the types of products that we want to be able to find. Something that, again, it's not sexy necessarily, it very well could be, but with these, they weren't. And it was something that the majority of people would probably look at and say, I'm not going to bank on urinal mats being, my retirement plan, or being the product that's going to make me, $100,000 seller every month on Amazon. But the reality was that's exactly what it was. And so we still kind of kick ourselves that we didn't buy those earlier and get out in front of that. But if you look now on Amazon, there's a lot of people trying to sell urinal mats. So it's one of those things, like I said, that had we got in front of that faster and just made that decision a year ago, we'd be really happy right now. But some of these other products, again, like balance bikes, baby bedding, these are types of products that as we continue to use the product, there's things that kicked out, that the software kicked out and basically told us are good products that have good opportunities, or they're trending the right way. Again, some of these are from as much as a year ago, others are more recent. But they're the types of categories of products that made the most sense for us, and that the software kind of kicked out. And so here's kind of the steps that go into using Jaguar AI. Our hope as we made this was to keep it as simple as possible, so that you as users of the product would be able to keep it simple, find what you need fast, and make those educated decisions. And so as you log into your Jaguar AI, you essentially just pick to run a new search, and you set filters. And these filters are simple. You can pick, obviously, the results you want per page, which is just helping you to be able to figure out how much data do I want to see at once. You can look at a minimum number of units sold each month. And so if you have in your mind, I want to be selling at least 100 units a month or 1,000 units a month, whatever it is, based on minimum order quantities and things like that for manufacturers, you can set those parameters ahead of time so that you're not looking at any product or any data that just really doesn't make sense. The other thing is price. So if you have a certain price point that you want to try and hit, if you want to be one of the low cost types of products, that's maybe under $15 or $10, you can say, don't show me anything outside of that price range. Or if you're looking at sourcing a product that's maybe higher end, you can set, a price floor and a price ceiling. And so it gives you those capabilities as well as reviews. You can look at a minimum number of reviews on a certain product. So if you want to avoid any categories or niches in a market that, maybe has really high reviews, or maybe just has really low reviews counts as far as the average number of reviews, you can set those features. You can also do a search into specific categories. So if you know that you want to find something in a specific category, whether it's sports and outdoors or health and beauty, you can kind of narrow those things down through the software, and it allows you to look at a specific category. You basically just run that search, and what will happen is as you start to look through things, it will kick out these results pages. And essentially what these pages show you is a compilation of who's on page 1 or who's doing really well in that particular category or for that particular keyword. And so with this example, we're looking at bed blankets. And these are kind of specific to baby beds and baby blankets. And so you'll notice some of the first things that really we hope stick out are obviously there's the Google Trends graph across the top. That shows us, for several years back, what the trends look like on that product. And you'll notice there's certain spikes during parts of the year, which kind of tells us that this is a product that during certain seasons or certain times of the year is really popular. And so we want to be able to look at that. And if I'm looking and reading this right, it's kind of during that fourth quarter, during the end holiday, people are buying these bed blankets, and they're trying to, whether they're giving them for gifts or whatever it might be, there's that spike. But the other thing to look at, and that is helpful with Jaguar, is that it shows us a trend over those multiple years. So not just looking seasonally, but over multiple years, we can see this product, it has a slight trend up over the years. It's getting more popular, whether that's because there's more babies in the world or people are just starting to realize, hey, I can buy these things online and I don't have to, drive over to Target or wherever to buy it. There's opportunities for them to make purchases online, and so there's more searches online, there's more traffic, and then this trend of baby blankets is moving up. But then as you move down and you start to look into each of these individual boxes, essentially what this has done is taken each search result on the page and broken it down into a much easier way to read. So it shows what the product is. It shows what the average monthly revenue looks like. It tells us, number of units sold per month, the review average. So whether that's 4.6 stars or there's a few 4.7s, whatever they are. And then the number of reviews or the review count. So this is all valuable information to us as we look at products because we want to be able to understand what's the competition doing. The thing about Jaguar AI is it's not necessarily telling you go buy this exact product, but it's telling you here is a marketplace or a niche within a marketplace that has an opportunity to jump in and make some money. And so there's several things that we like to look at, not just the units sold and the average reviews and things like that. But one key indicator that we really like is you look at, and this is a great example, that first product is doing, over $35,000. And then there's a really big drop off down to the second and even the third and fourth. They're doing less than 10,000, which tells me that whoever this first guy is really kind of monopolizing this type of marketplace, which we actually like because that means that there's an opportunity to jump in, start competing with that person. And even if, you take 25, 30% of their sales, you're already up there in one of the top 2 or 3 sellers on this potential market. You don't need to jump in and become the number 1 seller right away to make a lot of money. There's an opportunity here to be, in the top 5 and be happy. And so this is a potential product or potential idea that you could jump in and say, all right, I can add this to my portfolio. If you find 3 or 4 or 5 of these types of products, all of a sudden you're doing, $20,000, $30,000 a month in revenue, and you start to really grow your store. And so the idea behind Jaguar is, like I said, finding those little marketplaces where you can find this type of product. Here's just kind of a closer view. It kind of gives you a quick update on all the different information. the one thing that is really helpful with Jaguar, that we've not seen really in any other software, is down there where you can see the box that shows the unit cost. So this gives you the opportunity to not only look at what your potential net revenue is after you've subtracted Amazon's fees, but you can also plug in, okay, let me go to Alibaba, or let me call, my manufacturer and figure out what is my cost of goods, plug it into that unit cost, and then it'll kick out an estimated profit. So before you've even manufactured or sourced this product, you should have a really good idea of what your potential profit margin looks like, what the amount of money you should make per sale, and then you can go into it again, having made an educated decision, knowing ahead of time, here's what my potential revenue looks like for this entire order, and knowing what your potential profits look like as well, which is really helpful because you don't want to jump into something knowing that you're not going to make any money, or that the margins are so slim you don't have enough room to do things like advertising or running promotions and things like that, that all come into play when it comes to running a successful Amazon store. So going in, knowing ahead of time what that profit looks like, gives you a lot more flexibility to be aggressive as you launch that product. And that's kind of, in a nutshell, what Jaguar AI is and kind of how it works. We'd invite you to do it if you want to learn a little bit more. Is obviously we're running a promotion right now through the Extras podcast where people can get a $5 a month discount. And so instead of being $29.99 a month, it goes down to $25. And that basically runs for as long as you stay with us. And it's basically a 30-day commitment. You have it for a month where you can use it, test it out, see if it works for what you need. And then if there's any questions or anything like that, you can reach out to our support. But what we'd like to do now is just take a couple questions, or kind of look at some of the questions that maybe have come up as we presented. And even Kate, if you have any questions for us or want to lead any sort of discussion there, we're happy to take those.
Yeah, so just more point of information first. I did share I couldn't get the PowerPoint to load, and I apologize. It's doing that spinning wheel of death.
That's all right.
So you'd think I'm using dial-up, but so I did upload the PowerPoint file as a PDF. So everyone should be able to go and download that. So if there's something that you've missed, something you wanted to look at more, you should be able to download that. And I apologize, I didn't ask you guys in advance, Gabe and Thane, I just did it. So question-wise, so I'm just going to start going through the chat. Andrew kind of wants to know what makes you different from your competitors, Jungle Scout, Viral Launch, etc. We'll start there.
Yeah, great question. So the biggest thing is obviously the artificial intelligence piece. So we have pulled in something that's continuously learning. So the more data and the more that the Amazon marketplace changes, and as Amazon updates their algorithm and makes different changes, Jaguar AI is basically keeping up with that. It's using the power of artificial intelligence to update real time, essentially. As the data comes in, it's analyzing that data and kicking back information to you as a seller. And so it's using all those data points to help you make a great question, or to make a great decision as far as what product you should be doing. And it will work across the Amazon marketplace to figure out exactly what's next. One of the things that we, as we kind of developed Jaguar AI, was as we use things like Jungle Scout and Viral Launch and some of those others, was that it was always telling us, well, what's good right now? What's kind of hot and sexy right now as far as a product goes? But what we found is that as we said, okay, that's a good product, by the time I source that out of China or even here, within the US, it's going to take, several months, or even if it's a fast track, it might take a month to get that product. But by the time I got it, the market was saturated. Or by the time I made the investment, there was no room for me to continue to grow because, prices had dropped or whatever it was. And so the hope behind Jaguar was that, well, what can I find? How do I find something that's going to be good in a few months? How do I harness that artificial intelligence to tell me what's the next best product, so that I'm not always one step behind, but I'm instead one step ahead of everybody?
Yeah, or maybe said a different way, finding products that are going to be stable over a long term, as opposed to something like fidget spinners, which spiked really hard and then died. A lot of people lost a lot of money on fidget spinners because they couldn't get rid of their inventory after the fact. And so uh, we want to find these products that are consistent over time and potentially even growing a little bit year by year.
Yeah.
And is Jaguar AI, is it only Amazon based right now?
Yes, currently it's only Amazon based, and it currently is just analyzing anything on the .com. We are looking into doing other marketplaces as far as like Canada and European markets. But right now with this particular beta launch that we've done, we're just using the .com, which is obviously the largest marketplace, and so moving it into some of the other Amazon marketplaces won't necessarily be too difficult. It's just a matter of time, and as we're able to prove that it works and get the people behind it, we can jump into the other spaces as well.
Freddie wants to know, will this product manage existing products to gain advantage in the marketplace?
Yeah, really good question. So as far as managing the actual products, what it will do is you can put your products in there, you can monitor the keywords that you're targeting and look at what your competitors are doing and look at the trend of those particular products. But as far as actually like managing the product, so whether it makes any updates to that product or does anything that way, it won't manage the particular product, but it does give you the opportunity to, like I said, scout out competition, scout out that marketplace as far as that particular product category, and understand what the trends look like and understand what your competitors are doing, so they can stay one step ahead again.
Right. I would not consider this even really a competitor to something like Jungle Scout. I would say it in a way it's like it's complementary to Jungle Scout. You use it to get more information about the thing, but I wouldn't say it like replaces these other competitors that do manage your existing products.
Are there particular Amazon categories which you guys have seen it to be more effective than others in choosing good products?
Not necessarily. Again, it just depends on what you're looking at specifically. If you have a particular category, you can narrow it down, but there's obviously particular categories or marketplaces that have a lot more barriers to entry. So things like health and beauty or any food type products where you've got lower competition typically, just because it's harder. You've got to actually provide invoices, and sometimes you have to get FDA approvals or certificates of analysis and things like that in order to even get a product listed. They typically have lower competition, and so you might see more of those products start to pop up based on the filter sets that you put in. But again, a lot of it just depends on the way that you set those filters. If you really narrow it down, you could particularly see certain categories, but if you leave it wide open, it's really just about anything could be possible. And that's what we like about it is we want to just know what the numbers tell us. We're not necessarily worried about staying within a particular product category or building out, this large brand of a particular niche. We just want to be able to sell what we know is going to make us money, and like Thane said, is going to be stable for us in the long
run. Chris has a question. The charts mention filtering products based on ability to source. Can you talk a little bit about how does that work?
Yeah, and so with that, obviously, you want to be able to find, looking at products that you have the capabilities to source. And so some of the things like filtering by the minimum number of units sold per month allows you to look at, if I go to, for example, like AliExpress, where typically you can get smaller orders, but your price is a little bit higher just because it's basically pre-made sitting on a shelf, and they will either slap a label on it and send it to you, versus if you go to direct to a manufacturer or something where their minimum order quantities might be higher. So it usually requires a higher investment up front as far as the capital you need to even place an order. And so looking at things like that kind of is what we mean by ability to source, is just looking at filtering the price points, filtering the amount of inventory you're willing to invest into, and then using that information to then filter down the data to find something that makes sense for you.
Andrew, I think, is wondering if you guys could get a little bit more into the artificial intelligence part of it. Obviously, don't give us all your secrets, Thane.
That's all right.
If you could give us a little bit more detail on that.
So I hate to say bad things, but Gabe here is not a technical guy, so he might not exactly talk about the AI in a way that clearly you said that, well, just processing data, that's not necessarily an AI. We use a couple different machine learning techniques to look at the data and then, in a way, pass judgment on those things. So when it really comes down to it, artificial intelligence is a really big ball of statistics where we say, hey, Amazon experts, look at these products and say, are these good products or bad products to sell? And over time, if you do that to enough products, it starts seeing the patterns in the system. And you can predictively look at those things on products you've never seen before, just based on the patterns that it has learned. And so that's what we mean by AI, is you use machine learning and a couple different techniques there. Are there any other questions about that?
So you and I talked a little bit about it, Thane, in, I think it was the second episode we did a couple of weeks ago with you guys, but it's taking, again, like you said, that machine learning and combining human judgment. So the idea is it's trying to get in the mind of a person that is shopping. I'm not going to use the term urinal mats because it's been used a lot. But someone that might be shopping for a baby blanket and trying to figure out exactly what are they looking for. And it's trying to predict how the shopper is going to respond to specific products to capitalize on what a shopper wants, along with what numbers make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
You're nodding your head, so I'm like, I nailed it.
One of the interesting things there, we're definitely in beta right now. The amount of data that we feel confident about is smaller than it will be in a week, and in 2 weeks, and in a month. But the data gets more and more confident and powerful and big over time. And also the types of things that we're looking for get better over time. For instance, we're working right now on a piece where that will be able to predict a ballpark estimate on how much you might be able to source that product for, and so we can start putting that in. It's not ready yet, but it's on the horizon.
All right, so let's jump back into our questions here. Courtney, she's wondering if you can expand on how Jaguar AI is complementary to other services, Viral Launch, Jungle Scout, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So again, kind of like I talked about last week in the podcast, is it's just the more information that you can have as a seller, whether you're a small-time seller or you work for a big brand or business, is being able to have information about your competitors, information about what your particular product's doing or the niche that you're trying to jump into or dominate. And so using things like Viral Launch, Jungle Scout, some of these other products or services that are out there, and then combining that with something like Jaguar AI is just going to provide you with more information. And again, it's relatively inexpensive to gather all that data and to have what you need in order to make those educated decisions. And so Jaguar is helpful with that, because Jungle Scout kind of tells you exactly what product to go get, or gives you particular instances of products that are doing really well. Whereas Jaguar is kind of more focused on the keyword side of looking at, well, here's what's ranking for this particular keyword or this particular area within Amazon. And then you can jump in and use that to, like I said, go source those products and find other information. Jaguar provides you, at least in our opinion, which maybe we're a little biased, but a little bit more information. It gives you a little more capabilities to take even some of the data from like a Jungle Scout or a Viral Launch, and then apply it to your Jaguar to again make even better decisions because you have even more information going in.
Mara is curious if you can filter by specific category.
Only the top level categories. So you can search for a category, and that's pretty close.
Yeah, so it'll let you look like we said, it's like sports and outdoors or one of those main categories that Amazon has, and you kind of filter by that at this time. And then obviously the thing was saying as we pull in more and more data, the idea is that we can filter down further and further, get as specific as you need to.
So I guess that follow-up, sorry, I'm trying to find this question. So I guess that's kind of a good follow-up to a question by Eli. He says, I sell jewelry, only jewelry, so will it look by category? And maybe you guys do have some advice for him how he could use Jaguar AI right now.
Yeah. So as long as it's again one of those top level categories, then you'll have the ability to filter down to see just that category. And that's a great question, and I think that's a great opportunity to be able to look at your particular market and say, okay, here's what the next best product is, or here's what's trending up, and then use your sourcing abilities with whoever you're currently using to source, your jewelry, and add new products to your portfolio or expand your portfolio so that you have those options available to those people who want them now and in the near future.
Okay, now I've got a question from Chris. The software seems ideal for creating new product listings as opposed to finding existing products to compete with. You guys did have the example of the baby blankets, but he's wondering if this is true.
Yeah, so this product, that's exactly it. The ideal scenario is that you're finding something new, that you create a new listing. Essentially private label, right? If we look at whether it's, arbitrage where we're kind of feeding off of somebody else's success or the products that they've already created and we're just adding ourselves as a seller on that. Or else in this case, and what we really want with Jaguar AI is for you to have the ability to build out your own private label, create your own version or type of product by adding different features, looking at what the people want, differently than what the competitors are already doing, and then adding or taking away certain features to make it applicable to that marketplace.
Yeah. On occasion, the AI will recommend that you do arbitrage instead of create your own private label. We didn't really design it with that in mind. There's plenty of tools that kind of do that for you. We want people to enter into new spaces or find the weaknesses in the market that a new product would excel at taking over.
Yeah. A great example of that is recently we've seen a lot of like Madden and NBA 2K products like popping up, really low on in the filters and in the results. But obviously, I probably don't have the ability to go out and make my own video game, right? I can't create a Madden 2019 football game, but it's a great opportunity to see that that's trending up, that there's opportunity to make sales, and so if for one reason or another I could get my hands on that product, it'd be a great arbitrage product.
So Eli's got a follow-up question. Again, he's our jewelry seller. He says he introduces 5 to 10 new items a year. Good for you. That's awesome, especially in a jewelry category. Can he pay for an individual use? So that's more of a logistics question.
Yeah, so basically what we would say is, because it is just kind of a month-to-month thing, is you could basically make the purchase, use it for the month, and then it's pretty simple to just turn off and turn back on when you need it again. And so whether that's 5-6 months out of the year that you want to use it to just kind of analyze those marketplaces, you could use it. The nice thing about having it all the time is obviously it's available to be checking things month to month. But yeah, that's awesome. If you're introducing 5 to 10 new products in the jewelry category, you're doing pretty good for yourself. So congrats on that. Oh, we can't hear you. Sorry, Kate.
I should turn my mic on. Embarrassing. Sorry about that. Can you filter by or view the number of sellers on any given product?
I don't think that we're currently showing that data. We have that data. Again, we're in beta. If you email us and say, hey, I really need this, we'll probably put that in just for you.
Yeah, and one of the reasons behind that, right, is again, we're not necessarily competing directly on those listings, and so we're not as worried about how competitive that particular listing is as much as how competitive is the space. Looking at that keyword specifically and trying to understand, is this a space I want to jump into? Because, using the Madden's probably not a great example, but there might be 50 sellers on a listing for a video game, and I'm not necessarily going to sell that exact video game, but rather a version of it or something that's comparable to it. And so I just want to know, is that space a hot space? Is it something that I can go and make profits on? And if it is, then I'll go create my own version again, my private label item. If not, then I'd stay away. Whether there's one seller or 100 sellers, if it's not a profitable space, it's not really worth my time.
And it sounds like if there is additional data that you guys want, and you do sign up, it sounds like Thane can try to get it for you, which is very nice of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I don't want too many people to take me up on that, though. Thank you so much.
In other words, if you're here on the webinar, you're special.
That's right.
But don't pass that info along. I am going to kind of do like a last call for questions, but I have a question for you, Thane, while we're doing just waiting to see if there's any other questions that come in. Where do you see this going in the next year, 5 years? What are you hoping that it grows into?
Well, honestly, like I mentioned before, I think the most important thing that we're looking at doing is estimating sourcing costs. So we have a sourcing expert on our team who I'm working with to basically find out, or to feed the data into the system so that we can predictively say, in categories like this that are made out of these materials and at these weights and shipping from China and all that stuff, what would it cost to get this to an FBA center? And if that's the case, let's sort all of the products by what I can get them for and how much Amazon's going to charge and how much they're going to sell. And basically at that point we have a sorted list of what's the most profitable to sell on Amazon.
All right, we have another question. I will say your name wrong, so I'm sorry. Is Jaguar AI available as a web product or a standalone desktop app?
It's just on the web right now.
Okay. And then, let's see, I don't know.
Yeah, so AJ had a question. He talked about sports and outdoors. Right, correct. We allow you to filter by that. If you wanted to look at just cleaning rods, you could type in cleaning rods and it would search for that. You might find a couple things. But eventually, though, you'll find the category. You just click on it. It'll show you all of the first page results and then help you to say, here's what the AI has determined are the weaknesses in that marketplace, or so to speak.
And then Eli wants to hire you to help him find the next best thing in jewelry. My advice: diamonds are always good. But no, Eli, I'll make sure I'll do an email intro between you and Gabe and Thane, and that can get passed along to where it is. So again, I do have the PowerPoint. It's as a PDF. I did share that file. Everyone should be able to get that. If you did not, you can send me an email, kate@amazoninsiderpodcast.com, and I will make sure you get that. If you have any additional questions or you do want me to do any sort of email intro between you and the Jaguar AI team, just let me know as well, and I will make sure that happens. Let's see, there will be a rebroadcast essentially of this, a replay of the webinar that'll be going out shortly. Gabe and Thane, any final words, any final things you'd like to share?
No, just like we said, as you guys use the product, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you wish was there, so that we can continue to develop this and make it into something that's useful for you guys as sellers. We as both sellers and consultants, that's our whole idea, is provide you with the tools and everything that you need in order to be successful. Because I know there's lots of people out there that want to use Amazon to make some money, and hopefully this is a tool that can help them do that.
That's great. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you all for your time. Thank you for joining us on the webinar. We'll talk to you all soon.
We'll see you guys later.